Today, we're going to talk about how I've been using a strategy to where I'm reading for 1 hour a day for 1 week straight. Now, I will admit, I am an avid reader, but I wanted to share this technique with you all just to kind of show you how you can use reading to your advantage.
Easy go.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Nathaniel Cradle, and this is Finding New Money, where Mondays we talk about personal success, and on Wednesdays we sit down and we engage in evaluating companies, companies that are in my personal portfolio, or they could be companies that you may suggest by dropping a comment below. So if you find that these type of videos would add personal value to you, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, let me know that we're doing okay. Help the channel out again by just hitting that subscribe button below. So let's get started. Have you ever noticed your mind is just cloudy when you're engaged in conversation? Or have you ever noticed that the words that you want to say are just on the tip of your tongue, but by the time you're able to articulate these words, the conversation has advanced in ways that you just can't get in because it would be kind of embarrassing because you'd be kind of backtracking? Well, today we're going to talk about how I've been using a strategy to where I'm reading for 1 hour a day for 1 week straight. Now, I will admit, I am an avid reader, but I wanted to share this technique with you all just to kind of show you how you can use reading to your advantage. So in this chart, sourced by Edgar Dale back in 1969, it shows that when we typically read, we retain 10% of what we read. Now, that's a lot of time spent on a book when you're reading for 1 hour a day. So we see that next is 20% of what we hear, 30% is what we see, and 50% is what we see and hear. Now, here's where it gets interesting in terms of retention. 70% is what we say. So that's participating in a discussion, giving a talk. And that's why I think that, YouTube is a great outlet for helping to build that skill. As you do your research, you read on some topics, you're reading a few articles, and then you're able to articulate these things back on, platforms such as YouTube, or in a discussion, or in a meeting, or on a Zoom call. But whatever it is, you want to get to that 70%. And then lastly, 90% is what we say and do. And this is doing a dramatic presentation, simulating the real life experience and doing the real thing. Now you can imagine how much retention that you'll get from reading something and then giving a presentation and going through these experiences. And that's going to not only help you retain, but also build experience as well. So that's where we want to be on this chart. Focus on your day, on your week. What are you going to engage in during that time? Are you going to have a meeting with your staff, or you're going to have a meeting with your supervisor or your manager? Focus on books that's going to actually help you to articulate words. You're going to have a larger vocabulary of words in your mind so that you can express these things. And let's just go over some of the books that I've read throughout this week for 1 hour a day. Now, I chose to break it up into multiple books. So each day I chose a different book. So let's start off with Tough Minded Management. This is a great book. This is one that I've picked up on eBay for $7.99. This is easily a $20, maybe $30 book, but it's fairly old. I find that it helps me talk to my staff in a little bit more toned down manner, right? We want to make sure that we're engaging and not being overbearing about some of the topics that we need to discuss. How are we working as an organization? How are we working together? Now, there is a hierarchy, of course, but how am I able to appropriately pass down information that I need to have done throughout this week? Another book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. This is a great book. It's a series of historical accomplishments that's been done, throughout the ages in America, of entrepreneurs that kind of landed into entrepreneurship but showed great perseverance. So as an entrepreneur, I like to read about stories that kind of relate to my life so that I can then write some things down and be able to use these things later. I love to journal and then go back and look at these things later on in the day or week or month or even further ahead, the year. Business Adventures. This is another great book. This is broken up by just a number of different stories, different entrepreneurs, being able to learn about their successes and challenges, so that it can really help give me some clear vision. Think about this. Putting together a YouTube takes, at most, between a couple of hours, couple of days, a couple of weeks. Some may even take a month or two to put together a nice formatted video. But when you think about this is life work in some cases. Sometimes it takes months, a decade, or even more, an entire lifetime to write. So think of all of the steps that you can skip, all the challenges that you would typically face, and you can avoid these challenges by just simply grabbing a book and reading about some of these life events there. And we'll just kind of go through Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Conspiracies of the Rich. This is another great book. I finished this twice. I've taken a ton of notes, and I like to utilize a lot of these examples in this book on a daily. The Singularity is Near. This is another great book that I picked up just to kind of learn more about biology and technology and how it's integrating. Now, as a stock trader, I like to understand how, companies such as Microsoft or Tesla or Apple, and how they're trying to think of easy ways to simplify our lives, and how that change is happening over time. So this gives me a glimpse into the future from an author's point of view. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. I've taken a lot of notes. I have not finished this book, so I'm definitely getting started. And it can be a hard read at times, but then you just have to think about, what is the purpose of the book, and how am I going to utilize this as it relates to me making stock trades, and then just a couple of others. So what can you do starting today or starting tomorrow to be more articulate in how you're thinking about, the future? How are you going to speak to your coworkers? How do you want to speak to your family? How are you going to engage in the gym? How are you going to find a more enriching diet as you start working out? Get a book and start reading, and I promise you, it will change your life. But give yourself a goal. Read, for an hour a day or even 10 minutes a day. Start off with something small, not too challenging, but make sure that you are definitely fulfilling that goal of reading and applying this. Now, we looked at the chart, so we can see that reading it, on average, we're only able to retain 10% of that information. Where do we want to be? We want to be in the 70 and then the 90 percentile. So when you're done reading, find somebody to talk to. Talk about what you've read. Articulate these words into a way that you can actually manifest some of these things to start happening in your life. Look, again, if you have found value in what I've mentioned here today, drop me a like, put a comment in there. Talk about some of the books that you're reading. Let me know how you're utilizing reading in your everyday life. Until then, I'll see you on Wednesday for a stock evaluation on one of my favorite stocks. And see you soon.
Easy go.